What's up, everybody? Last week we got Season 4 of Black Ops 6 in Warzone, and like with every season and mid-season update, the meta changed. Now, it didn't change a lot to the point where people were calling this Season 3.5 last week, but the meta did change. Yesterday we talked about the long-range meta, and I'll link that video down below if you want to check that out for yourself. Today we are going to talk close-range meta. Hint, the meta didn't really change. New gun entered. It pushed everything else back, and it took over the #1 spot. Spoiler alert. But before we get into the meta and the loadouts for each gun, this not only will yesterday's long-range video be linked down below, so will my Twitch if you want to come hang out live. You want to tell me I'm a dumbass live or thank me for the loadouts, whatever. If you want to come hang out live, watch me play some Warzone, Twitch is linked down below. And all my other social medias and my single player channel linked down below if any of that interests you. Any support anywhere on any platform is always appreciated. And of course, we're going to go through the loadouts and then go to true game data. So I'll also link true game data down below if you want to do any comparisons for yourself. But without further ado, let's jump into the loadouts. All right, so starting off at number 5, we're actually going to go all the way back into MW2. Hopefully by the time Black Ops 7 gets integrated into Warzone at the end of this year, this gun's no longer available. But for now, it does sneakily actually really fit into the meta. That's going to be the MX9. We're going to do the XRK Sandstorm muzzle here for recoil control and gun kick control. All of the attachments when they integrated Black Ops 6 got changed. So, you know, if you just want to go back to your old builds from the previous iteration of Warzone, it's not going to quite work. So things are a little bit different. We have the Bruin, the 16.5-inch Bruin S901 barrel for damage range, hipfire accuracy, movement speed, and firing aim stability. That firing aim stability is important because there's still a lot of visual recoil on MW2 and 3 guns. Then the only extended mag, which puts you up to 50 rounds. The F-Tac C11 riser for sprint to fire and aim down sight speed. And then the Kimura RYL33 laser light. Now the laser and the flashlight are visible in ADS, but it helps with tac stance spread because tac stance still is available if you prefer to use tac stance. I know some people do like it, but it helps a lot with sprint to fire speed and it helps with aim down sight speed. If you need an optic on this, which I think the iron sights are actually pretty clean and I don't need an optic personally, you can drop the laser for the optic. Other than that, I would stick, there's no good ammunitions for it, so you're not going to change the ammunition, and so I think this is the best loadout unless you want to go with a optic instead. Then moving on to number 4 is the compact. Now the compact has, I think, is it the second best time to kill on this list behind what number 1 is? But it just completely goes through ammo like crazy. You're going to just mag dump to down people. The TTK is great. The mag dumping's not great. And then on top of that, I just never think it's that comfortable to shoot. I'm not a huge compact fan, but its reliability on its TTK is undeniable. And the faster fire rate does let you miss more shots if you do miss shots often, but you do just run out of ammo quickly. So it's the same build it's always been: Kepler Microflex, Compensator, Reinforced Barrel, Ranger foregrip, which we're going to talk about in a second, Extended Mag 3, Commando Grip, No Stock, and Recoil Springs. That's the normal loadout we've always run. If you're playing ranked or you don't think the recoil is too bad, you can go monolithic here if you would like, but then it also hurts the ADS, which I don't really like in close range. So this is what I stick with. Now, I did say we mentioned the underbarrel. There is the new G grip that is in the battle pass. 2 reasons I did not include this. One is it's in the battle pass, so when this video comes out, I know like I have people I play with that haven't unlocked it yet, because it's on page 7 of the battle pass. And it helps with recoil stabilization, horizontal recoil control. And where it's different is this hip fire to ADS accuracy, which some people were running a laser instead. They were going here and they're going Strelick laser, Strelick for the hip fire to ADS accuracy. So if you were somebody who was playing that type of play style, you can have now recoil stabilization and horizontal recoil control plus a benefit of hip fire to ADS accuracy, which requires less of a running gun, but more of a patient style when you're inside of buildings and in close quarters. Not to say you can't be aggressive with it, but it does require a little more finesse because of that hip fire to ADS accuracy benefit. If you just run and gun like crazy, there's no point in using it, and you want to use the Ranger foregrip because you get that sprinting movement speed. But if you want a little more recoil control, you can also go vertical foregrip. Now the G grip is close in recoil control benefits to the Ranger foregrip and the vertical foregrip. But you don't get the movement speed. So I would go Ranger foregrip or G foregrip. The vertical foregrip is going to give you the most recoil control there. But if you have the G grip, just try it out. Unlock it. Try it out. It's going to be something that on all of these builds you can switch out, right? Oh, and then for 5 attachments, we remove the optic. We remove the recoil springs. And we actually, for me, remove the commando grip and go with the no stock. Because I want that movement speed bonus. And you can go balance stock as well, but you get less overall movement speed, but you get a strafing movement speed and an aim walking movement speed benefit, which can help in close quarters fights where you only get the strafe movement speed benefit with the no stock. So either one of those, but it's really up to you. But like I always say, I try to run my 8 attachment build as much as I possibly can. So then we're moving on to number 3, which is going to be the C9. Now, it's number 3. But really, number 2 and number 3 on this list, the C9 and what's ahead of it, are really 2A, 2B, and it comes down to preference. They're so similar in practical use that it's really up to the user. But the TTK is slightly better on what number 2 is, but it also is a little less comfortable to shoot for a lot of people, and the C9 is very comfortable to shoot for like everybody. So really, it depends. But that being said, same exact build we just saw on the compact, except overpressure instead of recoil springs, because the C9 is just so easy to shoot. And then once again, you can go Ranger foregrip over G grip. Probably by the mid-season, I'll have my recommended loadout switched over to G grip. But because so many people don't have it unlocked, I stick with the Ranger foregrip for now on this video. And then for 5 attachments, I would remove optic, rear grip, fire mods, and then this is your 5 attachment. And then, of course, if you want G grip instead of Ranger foregrip, I don't recommend vertical foregrip because you don't need that little tiny bit of extra recoil help on the C9. If anything, you would need aim help. That's coming from me. Number 2 is the Ladra. Last season's was the mid-season. Yeah, I guess it's mid-season gun. Same exact build as we just saw. Extended mag 2, no stock, blah, blah, blah. Recoil springs on this one. Because it's not as easy to shoot as the C9, but if you find it easy to shoot, of course, you can go over pressured. And once again, you can switch Ranger foregrip for vertical foregrip. You just need that little bit of extra vertical recoil help or horizontal recoil help. But G grip or Ranger foregrip is the way I would go based on how you want to play. And then once again, 5 attachments is remove optic, remove rear grip, remove firing mods, and then this is the Ladra I would run otherwise. And unlike the long-range weapon, something I haven't mentioned is I always go reinforced barrel. I'm not super worried about bullet velocity in the close quarters. Now, maybe if you're running this as sniper support, so you don't have to lead as much, but then I would argue you want to go long barrel, so you get better damage range. But reinforced barrel obviously helps with both, just less. And I prefer reinforced barrel. It's a different, I think it's more open on long-range guns than the short-range guns, but for short-range, I'm always going to go reinforced, because neither one of them are super important. Right? If anything, I would say range is a little more important. And then number 1, it's the new LC10. And I actually have the G grip on this one because this is what I've been running. And I also left it on there to make sure I would talk about the G grip, which of course I've remembered to do. I like the G grip. I think the movement speeds are good enough. The other reason I don't have G grips the other reason I haven't been talking about G grip as much or putting it on my loadouts is because Game Data doesn't have it on every gun. They're still working on that. But same exact build that we've talked for every single one. And then for 5 attachments, I remove the exact same things. Now I have overpressure on here because the LC10 is also extremely easy to shoot. So I go with overpressured because you don't need the recoil help personally. I think it is the second easiest gun to shoot on this list. And honestly, I'd probably put the C9 as the next easiest, and then the Ladra, not the C9, the MX9. C9's number 1. The hardest to shoot or the most uncomfortable in my mind is the compact. But that's my top 5. You got the MX9, then you have the compact, then you have the C9, the Ladra, and the LC10. The LC10 is definitely the meta, and we'll see that when we go to true game data here in a second. But if you were just watching for the loadouts and the rankings, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and comment down below your thoughts on my rankings and my loadouts. Call me a dumbass if you want. But for the rest of us, we're going to go to true game data. All right, and so now we are over in true game data, and you can see I have the builds here minus, I have Ranger foregrip instead of G grip, and the LC10 has the G grip. And then you can see the Ladra, the C9, and the compact all do not. And then of course the MX9 is not even the same game. So I also don't have G grip on these because they don't all have the G grip available. And so here we have combination. We put the end range at 30 because, I mean, really probably shouldn't be shooting your SMGs past 20. It's probably time to switch to ARs then. You can see when you look at combination shots, the LC10 is by far the best. You can look here where they drop off. The LC10's at 525. The closest thing is the compact, which drops off big here. And another reason why the compact's short on the list is when it drops off, it drops hard. But 525, the next closest is the compact at 550, but it's also dropping off there, so you call it 715. And so the next closest is the Ladra at 560. See, the C9 is actually not super competitive TTK-wise compared to like the LC10. But when you're looking at like the Ladra and the C9, go where the Ladra drops off, you can call it 672, and then the C9's 574. But then when the C9 drops off, it's still 656 versus 672 with the Ladra, but they're so similar in TTK. It really comes down to what you're hitting more bullets with. But the LC10 is the clear winner. And then look at the MX9. The MX9 has a better TTK than the C9 until it drops off. And then once the C9 drops off, if you're shooting your SMG between this 15.2 range and this 23 meter range, the MX9 actually kills faster. So that's why the MX9 is where it is. And then we go down to some stats, and the ADS move speeds, the MX9 is the worst, but the C9, Ladra, LC10, with the loadouts the way they are all the same ADS move speed, and the compact is virtually the same. The bullet velocity on the LC10 is also very good. It's another reason why it's the meta. And remember, these are all these same builds. The C9 has better bullet velocity than the Ladra, so once again, it's just what you feel more comfortable with. The fire rate for the Ladra is going to be very forgiving, just like the compact. They're both very high, but I actually find 800 to like 950 is about where I like my rate of fire on my SMGs. Anything over 700 is fine. I think 800 to about 950 is where I like it the most. 1091, 1071 can be too much, and I agree the Ladra is a little uncomfortable to shoot at times because of that. The hit scan range for the LC10 is by far the best. I mean, you look at the LC10, it also drops off at 15 meters, which is the best, and it's starting to get into AR range after that. The mag size is a little small for the LC10. The Ladra runs out of ammo, and so does the compact, and that's why they have and that's part of the reason they have so much. The just base move speed for the LC10, the Ladra, and the C9 are all very similar. The C9 being right in between the two of them, the Ladra being slightly faster. The sprint speeds are all the same except for on the MX9. Swap speed hasn't been entered yet for the LC10. That's not, and then I don't know why there's no attack sprint speed for the compact, the C9, and the Ladra, but there's just not, so we're not going to worry about that. But the movement's good on the LC10. The bullet velocity is good. The damage range is good. The TTK is pretty obviously the best. I mean, dude at 0 meters. And the closest is 25 milliseconds, which is a few bullets in a fight. LC10's the best by far. So if you haven't unlocked the LC10, I'd hurry up and do it. I'd hurry up and level it up. Otherwise, keep running the Ladra, the C9, maybe the compact, or if you just want to mix things up, the MX9. But that is going to be my close range meta. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you like this type of content, want to see first, and comment down below your thoughts. Like I said, if you want to call me a dumbass, feel free. I'm used to it at this point. And Twitch is linked down below as well as my other social medias and my single player channel. Any love shown anywhere is greatly appreciated. And please go show Tony at True Game Data some love. What he does is wonderful for the community. But I will see you in the next video, and I will see you on Verdansk. Get frying. Have a good day. Bye.